is happening? Ah! She's back. She's back. She's back. Hi guys. Now, I know what you're wondering. Who is this girl? You know, where's she been? Hi, my name is Alyssa. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. I'm so thankful to have you here. And for those that have been subscribed to my channel, hi, I'm back. You probably don't even recognize me. Who is this girl? But I am back and I'm here to film a video today to kind of tell you a little bit about where I've been and to talk about my testimony. Before we jump into today's video though, if you are not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so you can join the family. Because if you have not noticed, the quality is a little bit better over here. She got a new camera. 2025 goal is to get back onto YouTube. So I gifted myself a Sony camera and let's just give a moment for the quality. Obsessed. Okay, let's just jump right into it. So I have not been on, or I have not posted a video here. I've been posting shorts here and there on my channel, but I have not posted a video probably in less than a year. And life has been great. I mean, life the past year since the last time I talked to you guys, I haven't really got in depth about where I've been, what has been going on the past couple years, but I've been posting a few vlogs here and there. But today I really want to dive deep. We're gonna get deep, girl, okay? I'm gonna get vulnerable. I'm gonna talk about giving my life to Jesus Christ, where I am at right now, and some future plans and goals for this year. So before I get started on my testimony, I did want to give you guys a little bit of a background on my life, but also some updates on where I currently am, because I know a lot of you guys have watched my channel since the beginning. So if you've been subscribed for a while, you're an OG, you know that here on this channel, I post videos about business, specifically boutique life, bossing up, hence the channel Boss Up with Lyss. I started documenting my journey of my own boutique business in 2020 when I quit my job in 2020. So much has changed, and yes, if you're wondering, do I still have my business? It's not a boutique business. I still have a brand. Yes/no. Am I still continuing on with it? That's something that I am praying over right now. I'm really trying to figure out if that is meant to continue on. I do currently have my brand Seamless Apparel in a storefront as I kind of try to navigate my way if that is still truly meant for me. So yeah, I have my own little space at a storefront where I pretty much just have my little shop set up, my racks with my clothing. It's at the Happy Humble Hub in Alhambra, California. So if you guys are in the San Gabriel Valley, make sure to stop by Happy Humble Hub and check out my brand Seamless Apparel. I really like that I've been able to have my business somewhere else outside of my home, and it's in a place where it's kind of selling itself. I haven't been able to put much time into content creation, marketing my brand. So the fact that it's somewhere in a storefront and still selling, it's just kind of a passive income for me while I truly try to figure out what I am doing with the brand and the next steps for the brand. Okay, so another update is that I went back to work. I went back to work a 9 to 5. Your girl's back as a corporate girly. It was much needed for me in my life personally. I needed some structure in my life again with my finances, with my day, with my goals, and I think it was just time for me to go back to work on my career. As some of you guys might know, I quit my job in 2020 to pursue my dreams and to become a full-time entrepreneur. But like many, life is hard right now. The economy is difficult. So now I'm back in healthcare recruiting, which I'm really enjoying a lot. I get to see and speak to a lot of people on the daily, which is really nice. I'm not just stuck in my home. I think it's really helped me put that structure back in my life, getting up early, doing the things I have to do before I get ready for work. Another thing that I have been doing recently is mobile bartending. During my time when I was working on my businesses, staying home for my son, I was bartending on the weekends in bars, nightclubs, which we're gonna go a little bit more in depth into my testimony. But I started a mobile bartending business. I felt like it was something that I built the skills and that I could do now, that I wanted to be able to be a part of people's big events. So I've done weddings, baby showers, all kinds of things, birthday parties. I love that I get to be part of people's celebrations and just have that connection more than just a nightclub, if that makes sense. It's more, I get to network. It's more face to face, actually getting to talk to people. and have some fun creatively making cool drinks, mocktails, and I'm just loving that as well. And I've had quite a bit of success with this mobile bartending journey, and I've only been doing it less than 2 years. I do want to make a video all about it if you guys have any questions on that, because I feel like it's something that has very low cost. And if you have the skills, or even if you don't have the skills, honestly, you can watch some YouTube videos, learn the basics of bartending. It's not that hard. But if you have the drive and you know how to network with people, you can totally do this business. I think that's all like the major life updates that I have. But let's jump into the lead up of this. How did I get to this point? Because I feel like I've been so MIA, and I'm sure you're curious as to the title. So let's give you guys a little bit of a background. So I grew up in the church. I have been a Christian my whole life. I did the whole 9 yards, went to church every Sunday, went to church camp, was in the children's ministry. Now my mom grew up Catholic, and she and my father decided to become Christian. They got baptized together in the 90s. I want to say in the 90s. They turned to God during some rough times in their marriage, and then they raised me and my sister in the church, which I am forever thankful for. My mom strived so hard for me and my sister to have a relationship with God, and I will forever be thankful for that, because that seed was planted in me at such a young age. Me and my sister stopped going to church in like our teenage years, you know, just the whole teenage rebel phase. I don't want to say that it was just the teenage rebel phase, because I honestly feel like me and my sister were not bad kids at all, and we were just humans, you know, and teenagers going through life experiences. Speaking for myself, and also me and my sister have talked about this, but like that church we were going to never felt like home. I feel like that became very apparent during my teenage years, because again, going through, you know, teenage experiences like going to dances at schools or things like that, the church really looked down upon. So my early impressions of a relationship with God was basically in fear, and not in fear of God in like a good way, in fear of God of like through the people, through being shamed for making mistakes. Basically, you can't do this, you can't do that, and it felt scary. As a young growing teenager, that's not something that really makes you want to pull closer to God. If anything, it pulled me further away from God. And it wasn't until later on in life that I started to seek God on my own in my early 20s. I was a new young mom in my early 20s with my son, and also navigating my relationship with my son's father, who is now my husband. And it was just a lot of growing and a lot of growing pains. My heart was longing for God, and now looking back at my path and my journey, there was so many opportunities that God was so patient with me, and he was so loving and just was waiting for me with open arms. And I would slowly start to come back, and then something would pull me away again, and I didn't go back to church right away. It wasn't until I would say like my mid-20s when my son's father and my husband, we weren't married at the time, but we were struggling in our relationship, and he actually got invited to church because he was at work. So basically, my husband works on cars, and at the time that I go to, the pastor's son was getting his car fixed or worked on, and he had a Bible in the passenger seat just sitting there. And my husband asked him about it. He, you know, saw the Bible and was intrigued and interested. And at the time, me and him were separated, and the pastor's son invited him to come to church. So my husband started going to church before me, and then God called me through him, and we started going to church again. And I wish that this was where the story is like, yay, it's been amazing ever since, but no, guys. One thing about the devil is when you get closer to God, the attacks will become stronger. Because within about a year or two, I started to go down a really dark path, hanging out with people that just were not fulfilling my life in a way that were bringing me closer to God, doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. This was about the same time that I was working on my business, working from home, so I had a lot of time on my hands. I got into too much partying, too much drinking, just doing things that were taking me so far away from God. At one point, I didn't know who I was. I was doing things that I never thought I would be doing. And that's also about the time that I started to bartend. Now, bartending helped me in ways financially that was great, and was able to allow me to continue to work on my dreams, to be able to continue to be home with my son. But it was a dark path. I was working at a nightclub and being surrounded by that energy, I started to feel like I had to drink on the job, like I had to be a certain persona to be able to bartend and do these things. It was so mentally draining, and so like it was almost like I was showing up as a different person, and I had so much anxiety every time before I would go to work. In my house at like 9 p.m. and just being filled with anxiety because that wasn't me. That's not to shade anyone that is in this industry, but if you have been in the nightlife industry and you removed yourself, you know what I'm talking about, how dark it is and how filled it is with lost souls. They are there just trying to feel something and they are so lost. And I was one of those people. I was so lost. I was so depressed. And although like you would look into my life and a lot of people probably would never guess I was living this fun party lifestyle and I didn't have to go to a 9 to 5 and I was making money and, you know, did whatever I wanted to on my own time. I'm gonna say this, being an entrepreneur is great. It gives you great freedom. It gives you lifestyle freedom, but nobody talks about how to manage that time and how you have to be rooted in God to be able to take that on. I look back on it thankful for that time that I had to go through those dark times because it brought me closer to God. I remember it was back in 2023 where I hit my lowest point, like lowest point. And again, probably my family, if they're watching this, nobody would have known. Friends, family, nobody would have known. And I remember just praying. I remember just praying to God, God, pull me out of this. And when I tell you that when you pray that prayer, be ready for God to shake up your life in ways that you probably don't even imagine. So completely 180 change your life, like remove people from your life, maybe take you out of certain situations or certain jobs. I'm telling you guys, God moved fast. As soon as I surrendered to him, and I remember very specifically God talking to me in 2 different ways. One was through my best friend, Marla. If you're watching this, God has used you to talk to me, to save me, and to get closer to God because she has always been there for me through the dark times, through the hard times. And when she invited me to church, I knew that God was speaking through my best friend. And he said, come back, come back to church. Basically, the story is that Marla was moving. She was moving apartments and she was moving her things, and as she was packing up some boxes, she found a little card that had a scripture on it, and she sent it to me through a text. Again, prior to this, we had never talked about God, really talked about the Bible or anything like that. I feel like we talked spiritually to each other. There was a time that, we were talking about crystals, and me and her have always been spiritually connected. Again, this was God speaking through her to me. And so she sent me this little card that had a scripture on it. I remember looking at that text because, again, at the time I was so depressed, so down, and I was trying to find God again in my life because I was starting to listen to Christian music again. One of the songs that stuck out to me so much during the time that I vividly remember is Oceans by Hillsong. I remember being in the car one day and that song coming on and just breaking down in tears and just feeling like I need to surrender, go out into those open waters and just, God, I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I am, but I'm coming to you. I remember starting there, just listening to the music. Back to the Marla story. She sent me that text and I responded, wow, like, thank you so much. Like, I really needed to hear this. I myself have been trying to work on my relationship with God. She's like, wow, like, it's so crazy that you tell me that because I went to church last weekend. And I was like, what? You went to church last weekend? And get this, guys, she went to the church that I had previously went to in my mid-20s when I was seeking God. As soon as she told me the church name, I was like, okay, God, all right, you're talking to me, I'm going to church. So we decided to go to church the following weekend on a Sunday together. And when I tell you he moves mountains, God moved in me so quickly because I went back to church in November of 2023. And I got baptized in December of 2023, a month going back to church. And it's crazy because some people might not understand it, but I knew in my heart and in my soul, that I did not want to be without God again. So I was going back to church, and I remembered I decided to get baptized, and it was almost like one moment to the next. And I remember I picking up the phone and calling my mom and then telling her, "Mom, I'm getting baptized tonight." And I just know that my mom was doing happy dances because this is what she prayed her whole life for. And again, it might have seemed like an impulse thing. Like even my brother was like, why now? Like, why did you decide? But I'm telling you, in my heart and soul, when God is calling you to the altar, he was calling me. Like, yes, God, I am saying yes to you 1,000,000 times over, because I know what a life without you is, and I never want to experience that again. My sister wasn't even in town to be there, but I invited my closest friends, my parents, my family, and whoever could be there. And it is a night I will never forget. December 10th, 2023, I was reborn. I gave my life to God. And it just so happened to be that that night, my church was doing a collaboration baptism night with Girls Gone Bible. If you do not know what Girls Gone Bible is, it is a faith-based podcast where basically these two women talk about all things faith and their journey. And prior to this night, I had never heard of Girls Gone Bible. And it was such a blessing in disguise, because I remember that night, you know, preparing for the baptism. We get like, you know, you have to get there a couple hours early. You get dressed in like this shirt. And that night, I believe it was like close to 100 people got saved that night. A lot of young women, which was insane and incredible to be a part of. Again, I had no idea that this was happening that night. I just knew through my church that I wanted to get baptized. And I didn't get to personally meet Angela and Ari, but I just remember when I was walking up to the tub to get baptized, I remember I was just bawling uncontrollably. I could not control my tears because I finally felt peace. I finally felt peace, and I had not felt peace for so long. And I had finally felt like I was home. I remember crying, going into the tub, and when I came out, I was smiling and happy and so happy. And the first person I walked over to was my dad, and he grabbed me and he was crying. My dad was crying. And I remember I looked over, Ari was right there, and I see her looking at me, grasping my dad, and she was bawling. She was bawling all night. I know what those two girls are doing is amazing work, calling to so many people to become closer to God. It was just such a special night. I'll pause so I can show you guys a little video of my baptism. So I have given my life to God for a little over a year now. And let me tell you guys, just because I gave my life to God does not make me perfect, does not make me the perfect Christian. It makes me a human striving to be more like him. I'm gonna make mistakes. We're going to make mistakes. The biggest conception is that Christians have to live this life, this perfect life. The misconception I had growing up is that I had to be perfect. And that's why that church that I went to growing up never felt like home, because I felt like I had to be perfect, because I felt like I had to be somebody in order to have a relationship with God. And now my relationship with God, he loves me no matter what. He loves me in all my imperfectness. He waited for me and he was persistent with me. I have never experienced a love like this in my whole entire life. And if you are missing this love, and if you feel lost, I'm telling you, he is speaking to you. He is speaking to you right now through me. So yes, guys, that has been a little bit about where I've been the past couple years. So what does this mean for this channel? So now that it is in 2025, I got a new camera like I was telling you guys earlier. My goal for this channel is to talk about faith, life, my businesses, and just honestly anything that I can to be able to connect with the viewer. So with that being said, the channel name is now going to be Life with Lyss. So I hope you guys will join my journey, join the family. If you guys ever need anybody to talk to, if you have any questions, please reach out to me via DM in the comments, anywhere. I'm here to answer any of your questions, or even just to be someone to listen to you. I hope this video reached all the right people it was supposed to reach, and it said something to you and it motivated you. If it just even planted that little seed to maybe open your heart to God, then that makes me so happy. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!